Have you ever imagined experiencing the maximum speed of a car that defies the limits of human physics? Then meet this icon of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Sauber Mercedes C9. Get ready for a journey through the history of this legendary racing car, designed to dominate the asphalt and achieve unforgettable victories. The Sauber Mercedes C9, also known as the Mercedes-Benz C9, was a car developed in partnership by the team of Peter Sauber and Mercedes-Benz. The German marque, after decades away from motorsport, returned to the sports scene in 1986, initially providing engines to Peter Sauber's team. This long absence was largely due to a tragic accident that occurred at the 1955 24 Hours of Le Mans. At the time, an accident involving a Mercedes car resulted in debris flying at high speed towards spectators, resulting in the death of 83 people and a driver. This incident led the Germans to immediately withdraw from motor racing competitions, returning only 3 decades later. Returning to the C9, it represented a clear evolution from the Sauber C8. After only one victory at the 1986 1,000 kilometers of Nürburgring, the C8 was retired in 1988, a year after the introduction of the C9. In Peter Sauber's project, the aluminum monocoque chassis from the previous model was retained but underwent some changes that made it incredibly stiffer and more resilient. The radiators, which were previously on the sides, were repositioned at the front of the car, along with the water and oil reservoirs. This change allowed for the removal of the large ducts that were located next to and behind the cockpit, providing more freedom for engineers to work on aerodynamics. The result was a body with less air resistance and a more refined rear compared to the previous model. The rear wing was also modified along with the rear. The prototype could be configured in 2 ways, one for sprint circuits and another for high-speed circuits. This configuration took into account the Mulsanne straight at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the venue for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. With a length of 5.8 kilometers and without the chicanes used today, the straight needed to be considered in the project. Initially, the models were to be equipped with Mercedes M118 engines, but a few months later, they were replaced by the 5-liter V8 M119. The cars were fitted with 2 turbos, reaching up to 800 HP in qualifying specifications. However, during races, they only hit 7,000 RPM. This apparent limitation had 2 positive effects. It reduced stress and increased efficiency, especially in slower corners. Additionally, the engines proved to be fuel efficient, providing an extra advantage to the C9. Considering that the equipment would be used in endurance races, the engines were undoubtedly the Germans' trump card for the model. The C9 debuted on the tracks in 1987 by the Kuros racing team but didn't achieve significant results. The car finished only 3 out of 10 races, far from the front pack in all of them. However, despite the weak performance, the team secured a pole position at Spa-Francorchamps, and by the end of the year, the team's only victory was at the Nürburgring Super Cup, a race that did not count towards the championship. The following year, the sponsorship from Kuros was not renewed, and the team became known simply as Sauber Mercedes. At the same time, a change in the top management of the automaker allowed for greater support to the team. With the Germans now sponsored by AEG, a company owned by Daimler, the team achieved 5 victories and finished the year in second place, behind only the Jaguar XJR9. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the team had to retire from the race due to a blown tire at high speed. Despite retiring from the race, the outcome was positive. The reliability and performance of the car had improved substantially, and by 1989, the team had 2 years of experience under their belt, along with increased support from Mercedes and the new M119 engine, which seamlessly integrated with Sauber's car. This combination left no chance for competitors, and the team won virtually every race. For the 1989 24 Hours of Le Mans, Sauber entered 3 cars. The Sauber cars were numbered as 61, 62, and 63, each with its team of drivers. Kenny Atchison, Gianfranco Brancatelli, and Mauro Baldi piloted number 61. Jean-Louis Schlesser, Jean-Pierre Chabriel, and Alain Chiudini were in number 62, and Manuel Reuter, Stanley Dickens, and Johan Mass in number 63. During qualifying, car number 61 reached an impressive speed of 400 km per hour on the Mulsanne straight, trailing only the 405 km per hour achieved by the WM Peugeot P88 the previous year. The increasing speeds were a concern not only for drivers but also for race organizers, who feared accidents due to undulations on the track. To address this, the Automobile Club de l'Ouest built 2 chicanes along the straight starting in 1990, aiming to reduce the high speeds reached by cars, thus making the Peugeot 88's record unbreakable. In the qualifying race, although car number 61 performed well, the pole position was secured by car number 62, with a time of 3 minutes, 15 seconds, and 4 hundredths. The Sauber number 61 secured the second position on the starting grid. However, the third Sauber car, piloted by Manuel Reuter, Stanley Dickens, and Johann Mass, did not perform as well and started only in 11th position. At the start of the race, car number 61, driven by Baldi, took the lead, followed by the other Sauber, piloted by Schlesser. On the Mulsanne straight, Jaguar number 2, driven by Davy Jones, passed Schlesser and moved into second position. Sometime later, the Jaguar car was leading the race, but an oil leak allowed the Porsche, driven by Bob Woolek that year, to take the lead. The team kept the Porsche in front until the 10th hour of the race when mechanical issues forced them to go to the pits. While trying to fix a water leak in the Porsche, the Jaguar car regained the lead, followed by the Sauber C9. Despite starting from behind on the grid, car number 63 managed an excellent recovery and was now leading alongside car number 61. At this moment, luck smiled upon Peter Sauber's team. The Jaguar had to change its gearbox, paving the way for the Mercedes cars to take the lead. The Porsche 962, which returned in 5th place, still faced leaking issues and needed extra pit stops for refueling. Nevertheless, the pink car, sponsored by a Japanese company, managed to finish the race and secure 3rd place on the podium. At the forefront, Sauber's car number 63, driven by Manuel Reuter, Stanley Dickens, and Joachim Mass, crossed the finish line in 1st place, followed by car number 61 from the same team. Surprisingly, car number 62, which had started from pole position, finished the race only in 5th place. With this victory, Mercedes solidified its return to the global motorsport scene after decades of absence following the tragedy of 1955. The success of the C9 car demonstrated the effectiveness of the partnerships established by the brand with the teams involved in the competition. This was reflected in the following years when the C9 model secured the Endurance World Championship title in 1989. The following year, the C9 continued its dominance, winning the first race of the season before being replaced by the C11 model. The new model also excelled, winning 7 out of the 8 races contested. Years later, Mercedes would return to Formula One, once again partnering with Peter Sauber, providing engines for the Sauber team in 1994. Here are the specifications of the Sauber Mercedes C9 in its peak version. Engine: Mercedes M119 5.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8. Power output: up to 800 horsepower in qualifying trim. Maximum RPM: approximately 7,000 RPM during races. Chassis: aluminum monocoque. Transmission: 5-speed manual. Weight: around 900 kilograms, 1,984 pounds. Top speed: over 400 kilometers per hour, 248 miles per hour, on the Mulsanne straight at Circuit de la Sarthe. Aerodynamics: aerodynamically optimized body with adjustable rear wing. Suspension: double wishbone suspension with coil springs and dampers. Brakes: carbon fiber discs with ABS. Fuel capacity: approximately 100 liters. Racing career: competed in the World Sports Prototype Championship and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1989. Successes: multiple victories in endurance racing circuits, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.